Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are today. Welcome to our Transatlantic AI Hackathon Challenge intro event. In this session, we will tell you about the exciting opportunities which are behind the Health and Safety Monitoring Deep Hack, which will take place on September 24 to 26. We'll hear about the purpose of the hack, the challenge, the logistics, the giveaways and prizes, and who will support the teams. I'm Michaela Balek, GABA's Executive Director. The German American Business Association is an established professional network in California with a strong connection to Germany, providing powerful networking and impactful events for a vibrant community. For about 20 years, we've been operating at the forefront of transatlantic business trends and technology. Currently, we also offer a series of Transatlantic AI Exchange webinars, as well as an online VC series for startups from both sides of the Atlantic. Now, GABA is organizing the first online Transatlantic AI Hackathon in partnership with EIT. There will actually be 2 more Transatlantic AI Hackathons with new and different challenges in the next 2 years, which we will organize together as well. So, what's the unique idea of these 3 hackathons? Since they are supported by the Transatlantic Program of the Federal Republic of Germany, which is funded by the European Recovery Program of the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy, also called BMWI, the unique opportunity and requirement is that each participating team must have at least 1 German and 1 US American team member. So it is important to plan early on to gather a mixed team, and we will help you with that, so no worries. So this deep hack is as much about transatlantic cooperation as it is about the health and safety monitoring challenge to be solved with AI on the edge. Now let me give you a quick overview of the timeline that you know what's going to happen leading up to the hackathon. Today, obviously, we kick off our first hackathon, Transatlantic AI Hackathon. And after today's event, anyone is welcome to attend training webinars to learn more about the great edge AI technology of our platinum sponsors, Intel and Luxonis, and how to use them for our challenge and also in general. These 5 webinars will have a different content each and will be held weekly starting on Wednesday, July 28th. And please keep in mind, this is an offer for anyone who wants to learn more about the technologies. You don't need to participate in the hackathon to attend those. Teams are invited to use the tools that are presented there for the hackathon and will receive mentoring and support, but it's not a requirement for the hackathon to use them. On August 30th, our execution partner UltraHack will hold a matchmaking workshop, which will start our matchmaking sprint and is most important for teams who don't have the US-German mix at that point in time or somehow still need other team members. September 9th is the deadline for teams to submit the project proposal. So put that in your calendar right now. The selected teams will get details and logistics and instructions on September 21st, which is right before the hackathon, which will start on Friday, September 24th at 8 a.m. Pacific time and will close on Sunday, September 26th at noon Pacific time with the announcement of the winners. That's exciting. I would also like to give you a quick overview of the amazing prize we offer, thanks to our generous sponsors. As I mentioned before, everyone, regardless of whether you plan to participate in the hackathon or not, is invited to join these 5 training sessions on Intel's and Luxonis Edge AI technologies. You can then download and use Intel's AI supporting platforms. Again, that's for everyone. All selected participants of the hackathon, and this means every team member, will receive a spatial AI camera from Luxonis. So that's really something. Thank you so much. We also have a total of $10,000 in prize money for the winning teams. In addition, there will be some in-kind prizes, such as legal advice by our gold sponsor, Wilmer Hale. to receive updates on prizes and other important items, reminders, announcements, and more of the subsequent challenges and hackathon dates, we strongly recommend you that you sign up for our general information list. We will paste the link into the chat box later. And speaking of the chat, please enter your questions there. We will answer some directly in the chat box and we'll get to others in the Q&A in the last 30 minutes. I also encourage you to introduce yourselves, particularly if you're looking for a team or a team member. So you can start now to do this. And last but not least, our outreach partners who are listening in today, please introduce yourselves in the chat as well. Thank you to AI Hamburg, KitLink, NC-WIT, German Accelerator, Berlin Partner, GABC, HIIG from the Humboldt University in Berlin, and Citrus from UC Berkeley. If anyone else is interested to become a partner, please let me know. This concludes my general introduction, and I would like to hand over to Jan Koltenberg from EIT Digital, who will tell you more about his organization, their DPAC format, and best practices. Jan, over to you.
Yeah, Michaela, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, depending on which side of the Atlantic you are. It is my pleasure to welcome you also to this webinar on the health and safety monitoring DPAC. As Michaela mentioned, this is the first event in a series of Transatlantic AI Hackathons that we organize in cooperation with GABA. And my name is Jan Koltenberg. I am with EIT Digital, and I manage the DPAC program at EIT Digital. Let me tell you a few words about EIT Digital, which is an organization created and supported by the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, or EIT. And we are focusing on driving the digital transformation in Europe. For this, EIT Digital has developed a dedicated educational program in cooperation with 20 universities all over Europe, is running a scale-up accelerator program in over 10 locations, and supports an open innovation program with startups and corporates. We also have a liaison office here in Silicon Valley, of which I'm part as well. The DPAC program started in 2018 and has been a growing success in providing open innovation events, leveraging EIT Digital's ecosystem of students, SMEs, and corporations. And we have covered a variety of topics from 3D printing, traffic congestion, IoT, to creating application stores for POS terminals, online banking software, as well as urban logistics and food supply chains. As we used to have these events in various locations in Europe and here in Silicon Valley. However, since March of last year, we have had to revert to online versions of the program due to the restrictions posed upon us by the pandemic, like the Farm to Fork program and the Data Against COVID-19 program we did last year. In the meantime, we have done 6 events last year online, and we are going to do a few more this year as well. And we are very pleased to say that we have been able to transform this format, which is very often done in a face-to-face setting, into a very interesting format online, which we can now apply even a step further to bring together 2 continents, the US and Europe, in working together to solve problems. As we have joined today forces with the German-American Business Association, GABA, and gotten support from our major sponsors, Intel and Luxonis, to introduce here the challenge of the event challenge, Health and Safety Monitoring DPAC. Our world has grown into a global, interdependent social and economic system. And we are increasingly facing existential problems that can only be solved by worldwide cooperation and leveraging advanced technologies like AI, telecommunications, and edge computing. We ask you to tap into your creativity and resources to offer solutions for challenges we face in health and safety. We will talk more about this later in this webinar, as well as some of the many resources that we will make available for you to work with. Also, you will learn more about the precise format of this event. But I would like to highlight already an important area for you. What will be the criteria we will be looking at when we evaluate your work? This is important because we will not only use these criteria when we do the final judging, for which we will have special independent judges when you do the pitching at the end of the event. The same criteria will also be used when we select the teams from the list of submissions. And the way it works is that we ask you to submit a proposal in a team, and we will invite a limited number of teams to participate in the final event. So the submission you make, we will look at with the same eyes as we will look at the final criteria. So keep in mind to keep a close eye on these criteria when you make your proposal. You will have a lot of freedom on which problems you select to solve, as long as it is within the framework of the challenge description as we have published it. You're also free to choose how you would like to go about solving, as well as with whom you want to form a team to solve this. We do offer tools and support provided by Intel and Luxonis, and even though we do not require you to use them, we do strongly advise to have a look at these and evaluate their merits. And I'm pretty sure once you've done that, you will find them very useful. So when evaluating your work, we will be taking the following in mind. First of all, does your solution solve a problem relevant to the challenge definition? And is it innovative? Secondly, what will be the effectiveness or the impact on solving the challenge? This is very important. You can have a very creative solution, but if it only covers a part of it, of course, it has less impact on changing the world that is facing the problems. Scalability is very important. Is your solution easy scalable? Can it be grown to a country level, to a worldwide level? What is your business model behind the plan? Or how much effect does your proposal have on reducing cost? And last but not least, is your team balanced, effective, and diverse? I think you recognize a lot of these criteria, as they are pretty similar to the questions you will have to ask yourself when preparing any kind of business plan or proposal. I strongly recommend you to keep these criteria in mind when you start working on the challenge. I won't bore you much longer, as we will still have a lot of issues to cover, but I would like to offer you a few words of advice. There are no good or bad solutions, but solutions will be more or less effective or more or less elegant. However, never stop challenging yourself, but challenge yourself by asking others to hold the mirror in front of you. There are many knowledgeable mentors and advisors you can approach. Use them, ask questions, let them give feedback on your ideas. An evaluation of the winning teams of the DPAC we did last year shows that the best scoring teams made a lot of use of their mentors, and I highly recommend you to follow their advice. The second thing is, think about your team composition. Take a moment to consider whether your team has the right skills and members to finalize the task. Do this before you start evaluating and hacking again and starting to create ideas. Diversity is the number one aspect to think of for a good team composition. Think of male-female balance. It's my experience that teams with more balanced female-male participants do very well. Complementary skill sets like technical versus business are very important. Last but not least, you have a unique opportunity in this event where we mix backgrounds from the US and from Europe to leverage these cultural differences into new creativity. Balanced and diversified teams go a long way to an exceptional performance. Well, I think I said enough. I wish you an enjoyable and insightful webinar, and I'm certainly looking forward to see you during the weekend of the 24th to 26th of September. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. This was really helpful. Now, let me quickly introduce to you Ragna Kruse, founder and managing director of AI Hamburg and AI Fund. And he has already founded and led numerous companies on both sides of the Atlantic, including the very successful Smarto in San Francisco, which offers a mobile advertising platform. He will tell you more about the challenge.
Hi, Michaela. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks for this great initiative of GABA. And I'm very excited to give a little introduction into the challenge and also into the opportunities and some ideas just from my point of view, because what is asked is your creativity and your ideas how to improve and do good on health and safety monitoring. Therefore, I like to put things a little bit in perspective. I think what we all need to see is that AI will have a huge impact to the economy on a global basis. $15 trillion to GDP within the next now 9 years until 2030. And the impact to the local economies is plus 10% in Europe, plus 14% in North America, and plus 26% in China. China is becoming the world champion of adopting AI and bring it into action. So let's see what we can do on both sides of the Atlantic to actually bring AI to work today, at this time, at this hackathon in health and safety monitoring. Important to see is you can help saving lives. So the impact for Europe, and I haven't really looked it up for the US, but probably very similar, is for Europe, AI and applied AI in healthcare can save 400,000 lives yearly, can actually save 200 billion euros annually if we apply more AI in healthcare. And a lot of time, 1.8 billion hours can be freed up every year. And I will give you a couple of examples, which gives you some ideas what can be done so that you also can develop better ideas for your challenge and for your kind of solutions. When you look at healthcare, there are different ways where you actually can come up with applications. If you use wearables, if you use imaging in labs, monitoring, real-world data, and so on. As you have the video, you will also be able to kind of revisit this. So lots of opportunities to do something to improve. And what I would like to do now is give you a couple of real-life examples where AI has actually and was able to improve already healthcare, or where companies or individuals are working on to improve. In healthcare, these are some examples, and actually I will provide also the link in the chat. It's from a platform, Lernende Systeme in Germany, where they already have pulled together a lot of cases where you can improve. So you can see this in wheelchairing, if it's in monitoring hospital beds, if it's on servicing, if it's in the dialogue using language technology. Lots of examples actually where we can improve healthcare and where AI can be a driving technology to actually support that. Here are some examples of diagnostics. This is just one from breast cancer detection. Here's a company who actually used AI to better detect breast cancer. The result of that is that you have 96% accuracy, knowing that there are very often cases where breast cancer has been not detected. You easily have 15 to 30% of cases where breast cancer was not detected, but then later on, where it's often there's much more damage. By doing this with AI, it actually has heavily reduced the quantification time from like 2 minutes to 10 seconds, and therefore has saved a lot of time and efficiency, and that has resulted in lower cost. And of course, earlier detection has created better survival rates. And you can apply this to breast cancer, to prostata cancer, 24-hour ECGs, using AI to better detect cancer. Safety in airports, visual, or in this also LiDAR sensors, using and understanding where people are moving, and based on that, apply resources properly. You can take that, and I like this example because you can apply it to anywhere, using visual, using cameras to actually detect where you have more people waiting in line. And think about Corona, waiting maybe in line too close to each other and having not enough social distancing. And I think it's always good is look at examples, maybe from even other verticals, how you might be able to apply them to healthcare and safety monitoring. And I think that's one of the exciting things really about AI. You can have learnings and see learnings from one vertical, and you might be able to apply them to others and make good there. Another interesting example, it's actually out of farming, is using visual sensors to determine weight. Here in this case, it's pigs. And who would come up with this idea? But it worked very well. Again, ideas which can be brought to a different vertical. Another one, audio sensors to detect problems with machines and engines, successfully already deployed, but using audio sensors to actually detect a problem which could be, someone is crying, someone might be in a healthcare facility and shouting, using audio then to actually detect, identify the right problem, and then setting up an alert. Very good example. One case I also know is about using smartwatches to detect proper washing of hands and body, as smartwatches have accelerators, and with machine learning, being able then to take that data and being able to come to the result, properly washed or not. Cameras in hospitals to detect proper protection. Actually, there's a company here in Germany doing this. They have installed cameras, and before doctors were able to enter ICU units, a camera actually saw if they have applied the mask and gloves properly. Very good examples. And here's also the link for Plattform Lernende Systeme, which gives you also some more ideas. But you probably already have lots of ideas, somewhere already included in the briefing. I really look forward what ideas you come up with and make this hackathon a very useful hackathon with great results. And even if you don't win, you might have come up with an idea which might become one of the next big ideas. So try it, and I actually will keep my fingers crossed that you all win. So therefore, we hope you're all as excited as I am, and the AI Hamburg team. Welcome to the hackathon. This is our contact information. It will be in video, and I can also share it in the chat. Thank you very much, and thanks for being part of it.
Great. Thanks, Ragna, for shedding some light on the challenge. That was very helpful. Now I would like to hand over to Ian McCready of UltraHack, who will speak on logistics and how the hackathon works.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet that we are on. Welcome to this Transatlantic AI Hackathon. My name is Ian McCready. I'm from a company called UltraHack, and together with EIT Digital, we are the kind of facilitators for the EIT Digital Deep Hack, of which the Transatlantic Hackathon will be a series of those. So it's a pleasure to have you here and to listen in, and thank you for the great insights into the hackathon process so far. I think I will be repeating a lot of what has been given to you already, but it's always good to repeat to get it burnt into the mind. So this is the process of what happens right from this moment right through until the hackathon ends and the lights turn out, or we switch the platforms off because it is online. So the registration is already open. You can go, you can enter your profile onto the platform. You can enter a project or an idea according to the challenge already onto that platform. And the beauty is of being an early registrant, you get to hear everything first. We always communicate to all the early bird registrants and give them the first insights into any updates into any of the events that are upcoming, the links to all the webinars and training sessions that will be upcoming as well. And also we'll nurture your submission. We always review the submissions that are entered and we give you some feedback just to strengthen that submission, that you stand greater chance of getting selected to the hackathon itself. As Michaela mentioned at the beginning of the session, we have Intel OpenVINO Toolkit training program, and this is a series of 5 sessions for you to find out more about the hardware that you will be using and give you more insights into AI perspective of it. So attend those sessions. You can attend 1, you can attend 2, or you can attend all. They're going to be very educational and informative. And as Michaela mentioned at the start as well, you do not have to be a part of the hackathon to attend these. It's always great to expand your knowledge with, so please register for those and attend those. The link will be shared with you shortly for those sessions. Many of you have probably never attended a hackathon, let alone had a team be in a hackathon. So how do you find a team? How do you form teams? Well, let me tell you, it is very easy. Many of you can just sort of say to your friends, your colleagues, hey, we've got this great idea that we're using as a project in university, in work. Can we bring that to the hackathon? Please feel free to do so and bring your colleagues or your classmates along with you. If, however, you come alone and you want to find a team, there are ways of doing that. I will show you that in the next slide, but we have a live session also where we can bring teams and individuals together and try to bring them together to register. After the matchmaking has ended, we will shut off the registrations at the deadline, which will be the 9th of September, midday CET, 3 a.m. Pacific time. So we won't be accepting any more registrants or submissions beyond this time. The partners then have a really, really difficult decision. Normally this takes a couple of days to come up with the top teams. So what they will do is they will be reviewing all those submissions that have been entered for this hackathon against 2 criteria. So the team, so that's obviously taken into consideration that there should be 1 German and 1 US resident or citizen within the team. But in addition to that, that there's a mix of expertise and skill sets within that team. So does the team have the diversity to actually execute that project throughout the hackathon and also take it beyond the hackathon itself? The submission itself then, what we have seen in many hackathons is that the submission is a one-liner. That gives us nothing. We don't know what you're going to be working on. We just have a one-liner description, but we want to see more. We encourage you to put a little bit more detail in the problem framing, the solution that you're bringing forward to solve that problem, the stage of development that solution is at. And this is critical because it gives the mentors and the organizers an idea of what you will actually be bringing to the hackathon and your hopes and plans for developing that during the hackathon. And then some key objectives or goals that you'd like to reach during the hackathon as well. So this is a good indicator for the mentors then and what support that they will need to provide. Last but not least, after we have onboarded you through lots of emails and information and to the platforms, it will be the hackathon. 48 hours of intense focus with project development in a completely nurturing environment. There will be mentors, there will be organizers, and obviously the teams and each other to support each other during the hackathon. So you won't be alone. There'll be plenty of opportunity for networking, future colleagues, future friends, future hackathon team members, who knows. The winning teams at the end of the hackathon will be selected by a jury, and the jury will be evaluating the teams based on a pitch. All the teams will be recording a 5-minute pitch, which should include any demo and also an overview of what they've developed during the hackathon. The jury will be using the evaluation criteria to score all those teams, and the winners will be selected from that and announced at the end of the hack itself. The registration link is there. Go there now, register. As I mentioned, early birds always catch the worm, hopefully. Well, you get more insights anyway, at least. A little bit about the matchmaking then. So the teams can be a maximum of 5 members. If you're a team of fewer than 5, you can obviously strengthen your team with more members, and we strongly encourage you to do so. What we find is that the larger teams are more successful because of the greater knowledge, greater skill set, greater diversity to actually execute the team from an overall perspective. So not just from a technical perspective, not just from a business perspective, but combined, they have the opportunity to develop something amazing. There are multiple ways of forming those teams before the deadline. The first being the Slack workspace. Slack is a great community communication platform, and we have developed a workspace specifically for the recruitment phases of this hackathon, but also for this next in this series, so the next 2 hackathons beyond this one. So it's a great opportunity to build a network around this Transatlantic AI Hackathon. Within that Slack workspace, there is a channel there created for pitching yourself. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your background, your skills, maybe the expertise you're bringing in your experience as well, as this will sell you to a team that needs you specifically. If you have an idea, pitch your idea, and hopefully some interested members might be there to actually ask if they can join your team. It's obviously a workspace that's beyond just matchmaking, so we encourage you to discuss just topics around the theme, even topics in general within the random channel. But it's a great opportunity to start actually building like a group of like-minded people around thematic discussions as well. So that's one way of forming a team. We also have a live matchmaking session, which is happening in August the 30th. We will tell you about the dream team, team dynamics, problem framing, ideation, and give you the support you need to actually form those teams and the ideation as well. Then, of course, once you register onto the platform, you can actually see all the registrants that are there. You can browse their profiles, see where they're coming from. You can also see the ideas that are there. So if you find an individual, you can send a message directly on the platform and ask them to join your team or to form a team with you. If you find an idea you'd like to join, you can request to join the idea directly on the platform also. If you need any support with that, please reach out to us at UltraHack. I'm happy to guide you. About the hackathon itself, we keep it simple, we keep it straightforward, but we keep it as nurturing environment for you as possible. There'll be organizer support throughout. There'll be a structured schedule to enable you to cut your work down into bite-sized chunks to the checkpoints, and it will be completely facilitated, so you won't be lost at any time. There will be experts on board to assist you through the mentoring. We call them the superheroes of the hackathon. And at the end, there will be jury who will be evaluating you. 2 platforms that we use to keep it simple, very easy and very user-friendly, that provide an opportunity for announcements, networking, any live sessions, and also create an atmosphere to the hackathon. So we use Zoom and Slack for those. This is a brief overview of the schedule. As you're aware, it's transatlantic, so we have to operate to both sides of the Atlantic to allow, obviously, some teams on either side to get rest, but we want to keep it combined as one event. So with a schedule like this, we can bring teams together within some of the checkpoints and also have a social session, and also, of course, the mandatory yoga for everyone. It's a great aspect to every hackathon to begin a hard working day. As I was saying, a hackathon can be fun. Many of you have probably attended an offline hackathon, but in an online environment, we try to create an amazing experience for all. As you see here, here's some snapshots from previous EIT Digital Deep Hacks, where we've had code reviews by dogs, by cats. We've had teams actually creating jamming sessions for everyone else as well. Food hackathon, obviously food was one of the key things. Someone was eating rather unhealthy here, as you see. And of course, many of the hackers and developers and innovators are up throughout the night working. That's because of the environment and the amazing spirit that people bring to the hackathon. So we welcome you to register now to this Transatlantic AI Hackathon Health and Safety Monitoring Deep Hack. We are here to support you along the way of registration right through until the deadline, and obviously beyond that once you're successful. Thank you for listening. I will address any questions at the end. and good luck with your registration. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ian. This was really helpful, and this looks so exciting. I love the cat and the dog. I'm turning the table now to Jason Burris from Intel and Eric Kokaj from Luxonis. Both are platinum sponsors of the hackathons, and they will tell you about the great offers and opportunities based on their tools they offer. And again, this is not only for the hackathon participants, but to a large degree, even for the general public. So listen in.
Thank you, Michaela. Welcome, everyone, students, faculty, potentially entrepreneurs, seasoned enterprise developers. Who welcome you all to the first of the 3 Transatlantic AI Hackathons focused on healthcare. I'm Jay Burris. I'm an OpenVINO academic program manager at the Intel Internet of Things group, but focused on the edge. And my co-traveler here is Eric Kokaj from our partner, Luxonis, and he is a depth AI software developer. So let's just pause for a moment and talk a little bit about the statistics related to healthcare to build on what Ragnar was speaking about. So the state of healthcare today, 1 in 3 adults worldwide have multiple chronic conditions. We have an aging population. There's more people 65 years or older than there are younger than 5. And we have a caregiver shortage, and it's predicted to be 15 million by 2030. Obviously, costs are soaring. On the EU side of the Atlantic, 7 to 11% of GDP healthcare costs for EU countries. And on the US side of the Atlantic, we're spending $3.6 trillion of US GDP. So AI is powering and will continue to power healthcare. And so for a few examples, in population healthcare, AI is making a difference in predictive analytics, in genomics, in the cost of care and delivery, in precision medicine, for example. AI can power deep learning in image repository, which is very actually central to the device that you'll receive as one of the teams and of using OpenVINO. It can also help for molecular imaging, optimizing high content screening analysis, and in telehealth. Obviously, COVID made a huge difference in all of our lives in this last year and accelerated the trends for things such as telehealth and remote healthcare. So we can have real-time risk calculators for patient-specific analytics, as well as enhanced screening and diagnostics. So just as an example of a type of device, a real-world example that has gone into production using Intel's technology of OpenVINO and our Intel Movidius Myriad vision processing unit was by a company called Akara, who developed a robot that sanitizes healthcare rooms using ultraviolet light. The device that you will receive is a prototype using the Intel Movidius Myriad VPU from Luxonis, and you can use their depth AI software and our OpenVINO toolkit to come up with something similar or something radically different, however you want to. But there are real-world examples being deployed using this technology. So we're bringing these 3 exciting collaborative AI technologies together. OpenVINO is Intel's AI inference toolkit that delivers high-performance deep learning inference. It develops a streamlined ease of use deployment for essentially write once, deploy anywhere capability. We also have a developer cloud environment called the Intel Dev Cloud for the Edge. It's installed with the latest version of OpenVINO Toolkit. It also has active learning through Jupyter Notebook tutorials that you can learn from and follow and then reapply to your own application development. And you get 50 gigabytes of private storage space to code directly on there or upload your code or upload your data sets. And Luxonis, our partner, has deployed this module with our Intel Movidius Myriad vision processing unit. And this is the device that you'll get as one of the 15 teams. Each member of those 15 teams will get one of these. And it includes cameras for depth and AI spatial capability. And it's called the Lux ESP32. The joint workflow to enable you, we'll talk about it in future webinars, but you can utilize our Intel Dev Cloud for the Edge to code directly in the cloud. And you can use a whole set of pre-trained models, AI models, over 100 that do things like object detection, object recognition, human pose estimation, and all sorts of other things. They're all available up on GitHub. You transfer that work down to your developer laptop after creating an inference blob and then you deploy that into your Luxonis device that has the capability of stereo AI capability, computer vision. You can run it in a standalone mode, being powered off of a USB battery, or you could run it connected to a single board computer like a Raspberry device using USB-C. And it has a number of other interfaces like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi that really allow the capability to be able to do standalone if you wanted to do that. Now I'm going to hand it over to Eric, who's going to speak to 3 slides that talk about how this device is so revolutionary.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric, and let's start with why our platform exists. We wanted to have a solution that is a combination of these 3 technologies: spatial sensing, which can be done with disparity depth, LiDAR, or potentially radar. We wanted to have a capability to run AI neural inferencing on the edge, and also perform computer vision tasks such as feature tracking, motion estimation, edge detection, and so on. It would have to be an embedded and performance system, so a small, light, and cheap device that wouldn't consume too much power. We found out that there is no such platform available, so we created one. On the image, you can see one of our devices that can also be battery powered. An existing solution for our project would be to have a Raspberry Pi with an USB webcam and feed the video stream to an AI processor, for example, Intel's neural compute stick. On top of that, we would need stereo depth sensor, since it's usually cheaper than a LiDAR solution. As you can see on the slide, the final solution would be bulky, and it would also consume more power. At Luxonis, we have consolidated all of these features into one simple to use yet customizable platform called Depth AI. Thank you, and back to you, Jay.
Okay, so we want you to be excited about this and to know that you're going to be nurtured and helped and trained through this process. We have 5 trainings scheduled. So starting July 28th, we'll do an introductory of the Intel and Luxonis capabilities together. Then following that, we'll do deep dives of the OpenVINO toolkit, as well as the Open Model Zoo, where there's all these pre-trained models for you to use and deploy to the Luxonis device, which we'll talk about on August 11th. And then we'll also give you training on how to use the Intel Dev Cloud for the edge. And we'll have a last topic to be announced a bit later. So we want to say thank you for being here today. We look forward to your creative solutions. And I also want to give a special shout out to our folks who may have joined from the National Science of Women in IT on the US side of the Atlantic, from the Aspirations in Computing, that we want to encourage diversity. So we're looking forward to their participation as well. With that, I'll hand it back over to Michaela.
Thank you so much, Jay and Eric, for this presentation, for all you do, for your great sponsorship, the huge support of this hackathon. This is so exciting. I wish I could program and get one of these boards myself. I mean, this is so cool. This makes it truly valuable and really, really very practical. So we are at the end of our presentations now, and I encourage questions. Anything you want to know, any questions you may have. I see one question in the chat window now. The question is, should we give our ideas for hackathons first, and on basis of that, the team is selected for the hackathon? Means those who submit ideas can only participate. So it's a little bit about the order of what happens first.
Yeah, maybe I can address that one. That's correct. So what happens normally in a hackathon, and many hackathons across the world, the teams come together in the hackathon itself and start to ideate. But we want you to do the ideation before the deadline with your team, so that you can come with a preformed idea or in a project that's already existing that you can actually maybe develop a little bit further with the support of the mentors. So please enter that idea and that project as a submission onto the platform. Those who are individuals stand less chance of getting selected forward to the actual hackathon, or those who have a team without an idea. So please enter your submission. If there are some teams who are missing, for example, a German or a US citizen or resident, we will be doing a little bit of matchmaking after the deadline to ensure that the strong teams have the opportunity to participate.
Thank you, Ian. One question I have, you're also creative people here. What do you see as possibilities here in this context? Any just really off the wall creative ideas you may have that people potentially could look at in this hackathon?
Well, between Eric and I, I would say that this device that we're going to provide the teams is extremely small but powerful. So you can do both AI and you can do depth sensing. It can stand alone with the ESP32. So you could actually use a micro ROS if you wanted to go even all the way to something robotics. But the combination of robotics and then vision to really navigate the world. So there's a lot of possibilities. You could do something with home healthcare, monitoring for falls. You could do something with PPE, recognizing our PPE, are individuals wearing masks where they should be, for example. But Eric could probably speak to his boss's, Brandon's sort of keynote story that he always talks about that really started this device. Eric, could you speak for just a moment on the bicycle experience?
Well, when I was mentioning about the project that we wanted to create, we wanted to make a device that will keep bicyclists safe. So it would have vehicle detection, and if the vehicle would be in a collision trajectory, it would notify the biker and potentially keep him or her safe.
And that story also is unfortunately very sadly inspired by somebody who I believe was killed in an accident, and Luxonis decided, hey, we could solve this problem. We could come up with a solution that would be small and powerful to do that.
Thank you. Ragnar, you had mentioned something similar in some ways, a small company in Hamburg, I think, with a device that prevents accidents with trucks and bicycles.
Yeah, you're referring to, I think, a similar, yes. So, for example, a company, it's called Rechtsabbiegeassistent. Yeah, so they had a solution which, first of all, for trucks, actually showed them their blind side, and then came up with an alarm when there was still a bike there when they were turning to the right. And that same company then also used that kind of solution for the big trash trucks to also, when they have their automatisms, to actually lift up the big trash cans and bring them up to actually prevent that the human being is actually still in between, because some of those, they have those automatic arms and so on. I think that's a great piece of hardware which actually can be used to build some of those kind of solutions and actually do it already on the edge. So I think for me, the fascinating part is deep as more you dig, as more interesting solutions you find. Of course, I would have loved to see more COVID-19 solutions, which would make it easier to, make sure that we are still able to enter restaurants, and where basically the machine tells, hey, everyone is well positioned so that police doesn't even need to come in and stuff like that. But that was last year, and still looking for a solution which could automatically detect, is everyone vaccinated who comes to an event and stuff like that? Because what is to be expected if we go to events, or it's how do we kind of make sure that we don't have long lines? So reading those vaccination passes, for example.
As a lay woman, I could see these devices and this technology really being used for, do people wear the masks? Do they have the certain distance they need to? And have maybe an announcement in the soccer stadium or something, right? Saying, hey, on aisle such and such, please move apart, or something like that, right? I guess it depends on the rules in the country at that point, right? But maybe those devices can help to make sure that these rules are adhered to. Those are devices that help us to get reminded and such. Well, thank you everyone for listening in, and thank you so much to the speakers and supporters and sponsors and everyone to help with this hackathon. And I'm very excited to what's coming out of this one. Really looking forward to September 24th to 26th. Can't wait to see the presentations and the winners. Take care, everyone.